everybody, my name is Sunny and today I wanted to talk about my home birth.
Let's go, me baby, breeze.
I gave birth to my second baby about a week ago, and my first baby I did an unmedicated hospital birth, which was so awesome. But due to all the COVID stuff and just my beliefs on hospitals and doctors, I just decided this time it was best to do a home birth. Here is my opinion on home births versus hospital births. I've had them both unmedicated. Everybody's body is different, everybody's baby is different, everybody's pain tolerance is different. I know that, but this is my personal opinion and my personal experience. The first thing I want to say is if you're thinking about a home birth and you're nervous, just keep reminding yourself that less than 100 years ago, that's all people did was they had their babies at home. It's a totally normal thing. I know this generation makes it like almost taboo, but our bodies were built for a home birth and for a natural birth. So I'm gonna start by telling my story. The whole experience of the 9 months having checkups with midwives is just so different than a doctor. They really respect everything that you say, and all the things that you decline and don't want to do, you legally can, and they let you know that. So you never feel pressured to take any tests or even to like get checked for dilation and do all the swabs and so many things that made me feel uncomfortable that I just didn't want to do. This time around, it was amazing not having to do any of that stuff. My first labor was about 9 hours from beginning of labor to delivery, and my second was about 5 hours. It was like 9 or 10 at night, and my contractions were about 10 minutes apart. I could just feel like the pressure that like comes from your back to your stomach tightening. And I was 41 weeks and 4 days, and I was so nervous because I had an induction set up for that Friday, which was 2 days away, and I was just praying that I would go into labor because I was like, I've had no labor symptoms. I'm a week and a half past due. Can labor just come on suddenly without any other symptoms, or is it going to be like I lose my mucus plug and then 2 days later, and by that point it's just too late, I'm getting induced? But from my experience, labor does just come out of nowhere. And for anybody that is going past due and they're trying like castor oil, stripping your membranes and stuff, I was very nervous about all that stuff. I've read the side effects of those things. It can make labor harder, it can stress the baby out. So I didn't believe in doing any of that. For me, my biggest advice is do a lot of walking and stop stressing and really just focus on joy and being happy. Then the oxytocin is gonna do what it's supposed to do, and it's gonna bring on labor. The night that I went into labor, me and my husband and son went down to the beach, and we just kind of ran around on the beach. We watched the dolphins play and jump, and then right after that I went into labor. So anyway, around like 11 or 12, contractions were about 5 minutes apart. So I called up my midwife. It's within 20 minutes. My midwife came, and then my aunt, who has had 4 home births, she assisted me with my last birth at the hospital, and she came right away. And she just sat on the bed. I sat on the yoga ball. That's my position. Everybody's different, but for me, dealing with natural labor, the best position is just sitting on your yoga ball, and every time contraction comes, tell the room just to be quiet so you can just quietly sit there and focus and breathe through the contraction, and remembering that contraction pain only peaks right around 6 seconds, and it gets tighter and tighter, and then it peaks to the tightest, and it's like, oh, and you just have to tell yourself like, I can do this, and then it begins to just loosen. So that's like a huge reminder, and that's how I got through each contraction. I don't think about the next contraction, just think about the one that's happening, because at any moment your body's gonna start pushing. So if you start thinking like, what if I have 5 more hours of this? Then you can start to get discouraged. So for me, the best position was just sitting on the yoga ball which I did just leaning up against the bed, and my aunt just laid on the bed. My husband was in the chair. Between each contraction, we were all laughing, and at this point my midwife was just sleeping out on the couch because she was like, you don't seem like you're in pain. I'm just gonna lay here, get some rest, wake me up when you're ready, which was great for me because the less people in the room, the less pressure. So during each contraction, I would think about that evening that I spent on the beach with my son and my husband. Getting your mind in the right place, to me, is how I got through both natural labors so fast. And you just have to get that mindset and just kind of like go to a different zone and just breathe through it. For me personally, if I would move through any of them or start to tense up, then the pain would get bad. But when I just breathe through each one and just get my mind in a different place, in a happy place, again, because oxytocin helps to speed up and get your body doing what it's supposed to be doing. This is Bree's Love. Around like 2 or 2:30, I remember the contractions starting to get intense and me having to focus in a lot more. So I told my aunt to wake up the midwife. She started getting the pool set up, but the noise of the pool setting up in the bathroom was too loud for me. Noise caused my contractions to be more intense. If it was perfectly quiet, I could manage them so much better. So I moved into the living room, still on my ball, towel over my ball, just in case my water was to break. I sat down and I remember having 3 contractions. And the first one, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so intense. The second one, my water broke. And the third one, I felt my body pushing. I was still able to smile through them because I just kept praying and saying, Jesus, thank you so much that I'm not getting induced. Thank you so much that I'm going into labor naturally. And I was just so grateful for that because I was so scared of getting induced and having to transfer to the hospital. My biggest fear for the entire home birth thing was not knowing what position to be in when it was go time to push. So that was what I was just researching and nervous about. It's funny that everybody that I asked for advice during my pregnancy told me the same thing. They said when it's time, instinct just kicks in and you're just gonna do what you have to do. So my pool is not filled with water in time, which is okay. I walked over to the bed and for some reason I just laid on my side and then my husband rushed over. He held my leg for me. This time I like screamed as loud as can be. It just helped my body to really be able to bear down because with midwives, they're pretty hands off and that's what most moms want for home birth. For me, I'm somebody that really needs guidance. That was a little bit like nerve-wracking and scary for me. Nobody was talking, nobody was telling me, like at the hospital, my doctor was like, okay, push, like she would kind of guide me. Again, this is probably why I tore less this time. I just had one small tear, probably because I just did what my body naturally was supposed to do. The baby came out on my bed. The pain for that was small. I think people get so scared about contractions and about pushing and the ring of fire. In reality, like the adrenaline rush that you have the whole time, like a natural painkiller, and it makes the pain very minimal, especially when you know the prize at the end. That's what I kept focusing on. Like just this for a baby, like this is nothing, it's okay. And that really helped encourage me as well and get through it. Being in my own bed, in my own comfortable environment, that was like so magical to me. Just not having to like, you know, be in a hospital gown or be in a hospital bed or have nurses and doctors everywhere and bright lights. And I had my blackout blinds down. Everything was very dark and very quiet and it was just no chaos. So everything leading up to that was, I would say, perfect and beautiful. But then once the baby came out, my midwife was like, you're kind of bleeding a lot. So she gave me a Pitocin shot in my leg, which was awful. I think reality really hit in as soon as I got that Pitocin shot. I was like, dang, like things can go bad fast and you're at your house and there's not much you can do at this point except get in the car and rush to the hospital depending on how close that is for you. Now that you've heard my story, I kind of want to give you my opinion because I've had, like I said, a natural hospital birth and a natural home birth. For me, the perks of a hospital birth is you are in a hospital if things are to go wrong with you or the baby. If you trust your doctors and trust your nurses, you can get help right away. They have all the machines to like keep you going. My second perk was you stay at a hospital for 2 days. So, you know, if it's the middle of the night after your baby came and you have a question, you can just do a little buzzer thing and a nurse comes rushing in. And that was cool knowing that you have that like 2 full day help. Reality really sunk in after the baby was out. Everything was fine and then everybody just left and it was just me and my husband and our new baby. You're just all alone, just a lot going on, a lot of questions. And you just have to prepare yourself for that. I don't think I was as prepared as I should have been. After everybody left, our baby was having breathing issues. Praise the Lord, we have an amazing midwife, and she turned around and within like 45 minutes she was back over here. But again, like, that is something about home births. If something does go wrong, it's like you're alone, and then it's trying to figure out what you should do. For most people, home births are perfect, and that's what we're meant to do. So I'm not trying to scare you, I'm just trying to be real and have my real opinion, because I feel like a lot of these YouTube videos about home births are like, it was magical, it was perfect, no problems. Nobody really talks about the minutes after. Like, once everybody's gone and it's just you, and like you have questions, and you know it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and it's like you can't just reach out to anybody. You have to figure things out on your own. It was nice not having to get in the car and drive to the hospital. That was a huge perk about a home birth, is literally just walking onto my bed and pushing the baby out. Not having as much chaos. Everything was very calm. You're not having anybody try to force the vitamin K shot or wipe your baby's eyes with ointment. There's just a lot of things about a hospital birth that you feel like you're almost fighting for your rights that I didn't like. But again, you do have that stability that everybody's there and everything's gonna be okay, because all the medical stuff is right, you know, an inch away from you. So you should totally consider a home birth, but if you're nervous about it, know that you can have a hospital birth that is natural. You just have to stand up for what you believe in and put your foot down and know that you're in control. Of course, you have to listen to advice, but still, like, do your own research. Home births are awesome, hospital births can be awesome, and natural labor and delivery is just incredible. My advice to you is don't get an epidural. You can do it. My pain tolerance is so low. Anybody can get through it, because you just get that mindset and just know that, like, it's so worth it. It's not gonna last forever. Your baby's gonna be here soon. The better thoughts you have, the more oxytocin, the faster the baby comes. Stay upright, don't lay down. Sit on your ball so gravity can work with you. You got this. I believe in you. If I can do it, again, you certainly can. I'm 26 and had my first baby at like 24. If you have any questions, reach out to me. My Instagram account is Floridian Sunshine. You can message me if you have questions, any more like deeper personal questions about postpartum or about preparing for a home birth or for natural labor and delivery. And I would love to answer any of your questions or just talk to you about this stuff, because I'm super passionate about it. And yeah, it's magical. It's what your body was meant for, so don't be scared, because you can do it. If I can do it, you certainly can. And it's all worth it for the sweet little baby.